Hello, my name is Emily Reston and today I'm presenting my presentation on human immunity. I'm going to talk to you about specific and non-specific lines of defence against disease. I will explain the different lines of defence we have and go into information about how these work. I will then talk about the immune system, how this works to protect the body and how we get immunity and what role different cells play in our body. Lastly, I'm going to talk to you about our body's defense system and how it can be affected by different types of autoimmune conditions and how our body responds differently when we have these. On a final note, I'll conclude my presentation with some information about vaccinations, how they're made up and how we get immunity from them and the benefits that they can have to us. Our bodies have three lines of defence to help us fight against pathogens. Pathogens are used to describe anything that invades the body. This can be from parasites, viruses, funguses and bacteria. Our first line of defence is our skin, which is our largest organ on the body. We also have mucosal membranes that line all of our orifices. The skin and mucosal membranes help stop pathogens from entering the body using physical and chemical barriers. The skin acts as a barrier when it is unbroken. The skin is made up of different layers which stop pathogens entering. It is waterproof and protects us from chemicals and toxins entering. We are born with our first line of defence. Our second line of defence is the way the body reacts to pathogens within the body. The body has an immune response when it detects pathogens. This has different white blood cells which work together to help destroy the pathogen and keep the immune system healthy. Macrophages of cells are present in the fighting of infection. They move to the area where the infection is present. They also send messages to the immune system to help trigger it into its attack mode to help fight the infection. When the body has an immune response to a pathogen infection, it shows an inflammatory response. Our temperatures will rise to heat up the body to help kill the infection. We get redness, swelling and pain around a site of infection. This is the increased blood flow going to the infection and the pathogen eating cells around there working. This is a non-specific response to an infection or pathogen. Our third line of defence uses different immune cells to target antigens to destroy and break down the pathogen, just like our second line of defence does. In the first and second lines of defence, these are non-specific responses to how the body reacts to fight all pathogens. It is not targeted to a certain type of pathogen. The first line of defence has a specific reaction targeted to a certain type of pathogen. The third line of defence is reaction triggered to the certain type of pathogen. Innate immune response is made up of cells that play a role and work together. Leukocytes, other known as white blood cells, are present in the immune system. There are 5 types that play a role in attacking an antigen. Neutrophils are the first at the scene when attacking and breaking down the antigen. These are our most common type of white blood cell. Lymphocytes are found in the lymphatic tissue and these give the immune system memory and antibodies to fight the infection. Monocytes, these eat dead blood cells and also pathogenic cells. They are the largest white blood cell that we have. Eosinophils, these destroy parasites and allergens by releasing toxins into the bloodstream. Basophils work inside the immune system, fighting pathogen and parasites. They release histamine to fight allergens and they also have anticoagulant properties. Acquired immunity is when our body has used its memory to remember how to fight a certain pathogen and it targets its response using T and B cells. There are several types of T cells that work together. T cells help B cells grow while fighting the antigen in our body. They work alongside helper T cells. These help build our immune system and make it stronger. Cytotoxic cells are responsible for fighting and breaking down the pathogen. We also have suppressor cells which regulate our immune system and stop it getting out of control or attacking itself. B cells produce the antigen to help the body fight the pathogen and also act as memory cells, so our body remembers how to do it for next time. Immunoglobulins, otherwise known as antibodies, are what the body produces to help fight infection. There are several types of antibodies and they all work slightly different to fight pathogens. IgG is the most common antibody. We get this while developing in the womb from our mothers. This helps attack the antigen. IgA is part of our cell's defense system and lives in all of our mucosal linings. IgM helps with growth of the B receptor and it also attacks the antigen. IgE is a less common, but it does help fight infections in the background and allergens such as a hay fever. And IgD, this is the least common and in fact quite rare. Its function is a bit of a mystery, but we do know it is a B receptor. Our immune system is highly intelligent and it can recognise what antigens are its own and which ones are invaders. Our own antigens do not trigger the T and B cells, therefore our body will not attack itself. We have MHC1 and MHC11 antigens which pick out and sort cells with nucleuses. It protects our own and destroys the invading cells. Our immune response to antigens varies. Sometimes we can become hypersensitive to antigens and have a greater response. For example, hay fever in some people, they might only show a slight sensitivity, but others may present with greater symptoms. Sometimes our immune system fails self-tolerance and self-recognition of its own cells. This can be due to autoimmune diseases. Our immune system fails to recognise its own antigens and can attack and destroy them. People with autoimmune disease can show symptoms such as pain, swelling, heated areas, redness of the skin. The autoimmune disease can lay dormant and then flare up without warning. Testing for autoimmune conditions can be a lengthy process, but it can be detected via blood test. They test for anti-nuclear antibodies and C-receptive proteins. Lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease that attacks healthy tissue throughout the body. The symptoms include a butterfly rash on the face, hair loss, high temperature, redness and mouth ulcers. It can be managed with anti-inflammatory medications and immunosuppressants. Psoriasis is another form of autoimmune disease of the skin. Symptoms can include a red, scaly skin rash that can become itchy and have patches all over the body, joint pain, nail problems, and stiffness of the joints. Treatments include vitamin, mineral, and steroid topical creams, and also a light therapy. We are not born with acquired immunity, we gain it in our lives. We have active and passive immunity, both natural and artificially gained. From the diagram you can see our active immunity, we gain it naturally when we build up antibodies from infections that we've already fought. We can also get this artificially from vaccinations against infections. We gain passive immunity naturally through breast milk as babies and artificially when we take medications. We can gain immunity via vaccination. Vaccinations are made up of harmless fragments of pathogens, live pathogens, toxins and dead cells. When these are administered, they trigger immune response within the body. The T cells begin to attack the pathogens in the vaccination. Some of the T cells remain and become memory cells. These memory cells retain the information on how to fight the pathogen, so if the body were to encounter it again, we'd have some artificial acquired immunity to fight it. Herd immunity works by people taking up a vaccination, so they do not get ill. Therefore, if there was an outbreak of an infectious disease, they would not get as ill. This stops the spread and reduces the number of people affected. So the more people that are vaccinated, the less become infected, and we can actually eradicate diseases this way. There are also factors that can jeopardise this concept, like strains of disease may change, the pathogen becoming undetected before we know we're unwell, people getting infected before they have chance to get the vaccination, and social and religious belief play a role in this. In the UK, though, we have many vaccination programmes to help people stay protected. We are vaccinated against the MMR, TB, meningitis C, HPV and the flu. Getting vaccinated can stop us getting seriously ill. It can stop us getting antibiotic resistance because we have less need to take medications. Some vaccinations can help prevent cancers, like the HPV vaccination. It can extend life expectancy of people, as when they're getting ill they may not get as seriously ill, and it does reduce childhood deaths when they have those first vaccinations. Thank you for listening to my presentation. The next slide has just got all of my references I used to make the presentation and write the notes. And my last slide has got my bibliography outlining where I got all of the images from off the presentation. Thank you.